Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Aaron Medic Chamberlain and joining me is Memento, the winning jungler from Roccat. Just beat out G2. How does it feel to be the Kingslayers once more?
I mean, it feels awesome, man. Like it's really nice to see our hard work actually paying off. And considering last year I was with the Giants and we got completely demolished. We got perfect game actually by G2. So I've always had this kind of grudge, you know, that I want to fight them, you know, because they've always been so good. Of course, they don't have Sven and Mythi anymore, and they did some roster changes, but it still feels really great. I'm really happy.
It's got to. Just building off that, do you think this G2 is a downgrade from last year's G2?
I mean, of course, it's a downgrade. I mean, Sven and Mythi were a really huge part for the team, I can imagine. So I would say, yeah, it's kind of like a budget G2 right now.
Good to hear. It's obviously it's great for you guys to win on, you know, in your first week, have such good performances. How do you play a role within the team? Because you've got Blanc, you've got Nukeduck, and you've got these rookies who play very well. What's your role within that team?
I mean, I think my role is mostly just leading the team and helping them feel comfortable on stage and comfortable in games. Like, I try to teach as much as I can, and that's pretty much my role, I would say.
Would you say you're the captain?
Yeah, I would say so.
Excellent. Great to hear from you, Memento. We're going to hand it back across towards Sjokz on the analyst desk to take us into our final game of the day.
Thank you very much, Medic. Memento larger than life in that game, and Roccat taking down G2, no pun intended. It was a bit of forced perspective, I think, in the interview. Medic was really close to the camera, so he was towering over
It was all the magic of cameras. But
it was.
Roccat, they have got to feel great. Starting off their Kingslayer title right at the start of the split, shutting down what looked like a dominant G2 after day one, and Roccat just come out the gates.
And that's what a Medic talked about yesterday before their first game. You never know when they're going to strike.
Exactly.
And they struck a fantastic victory of Roccat. But now we're going to look at our next match, because as we speak, Schalke 04 and Misfits Gaming prepare on stage for their second game and also our last game of the week. Schalke, however, unfortunately still playing without their planned AD carry upset due to a medical emergency. But Boris will be subbing in once again. That went pretty well yesterday as they took down Roccat because the whole team seemed to come online. Pride, Vizicsacsi, everything worked despite the spanner in the works.
Yeah, they definitely executed on what they wanted to do. They played towards the top side early game. They were mechanically sound. Even the bot lane didn't fall too far behind, which is surprising. And in the end, obviously, VandeR with a triple kill. But again, we have to highlight Nukeduck. He roamed around the map. He dominated his matchup and did whatever he wanted to do.
Definitely. So let's just focus in on that guy, Nukeduck. So many questions, such a storied history in the EU LCS, but not really big success since maybe the time of Lemon Dogs a long time ago. But now he is showing up.
It is the year of the duck. Get your quacks ready, because this man is on a roll. Starts off the EU LCS Spring Split with a dominant performance, going 5-0-1 on that Ryze very early on into the game. This man looks like an unstoppable force.
Great to see. We'll see how that evolves. But on the other side of the rift, we have Misfits Gaming, who came in with a plan against G2 Esports. Even though they lost in the end, we did see some good signs from the team with their two new players. So how do we kind of look at that matchup? Because Misfits had a tough one in G2 as their opening match, and obviously they have a new configuration they had to work with. So what feeling did you walk away from that match from?
To me, it looked like in their first game, they were just playing to some of the strengths of the individual players. Sencux was able to get a champion that would influence the side lanes rather than him trying to dominate his own lane in the 1v1. Maxlore was on an early playmaker in the form of Lee Sin. Mikyx was on another playmaker in the form of the Rakan down in the bottom lane. And it just felt like that they had a clear plan going in. They looked to execute upon that plan in the game. But then unfortunately, the execution didn't quite come out right as they had hoped against G2.
So how much do you fault them for that, so to say? Do you respect them then from taking this route and having this clear plan, knowing that they weren't able to close it out?
Well, to me, I still feel like that Misfits still looked strong. It was just that G2 had the answers, and their composition allowed them to better work into the mid and late game. So I felt like that Misfits, they just kind of drafted themselves into a bit of a corner once their early game didn't work out the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, they definitely still look good. I think that some of their early play has to be cleaned up. And I think a lot of rosters right now are trying to like kind of find their way anyway. So for them, they will probably adapt to a more late game heavy style again. I think that's meta right now anyway. So that's what we're going to see out of them soon, TM.
Well, if we look at that lineup and also still the coach, last year we talked about Misfits, and Misfits said they had a one-year plan. They fulfilled that plan and they evolved tremendously throughout that year. Amazing. Where do you think their starting point is now compared to last year, and thus where do you see that evolution going?
I think they definitely have a higher starting point now because I think their roster overall just seems more synergetic anyway. They obviously don't have Kakao in the roster, which obviously was a Korean influence to an Ignite that they had to work in. So the two of them basically, it took a long time to make them first speak English, and then second off, obviously fit into the European kind of like meta and style. Just existing here is obviously different to Korea. So overall, they are already at a high point. I think they're going to end higher too.
Yeah, to me, the synergy does seem there. It does need a little bit of work. Amazing already mentioned how the execution still is a little faulty, but with time and with work, I'm sure they'll get there. And as we've seen from this Misfits organization, when they have a plan, they often tend to meet it.
Let's talk about the specific matchup then before we go on the player setup. Schalke, yesterday you could say, well, Cho'Gath, they were surprised and they didn't really know what to do. But on the other hand, you could also say, well, Schalke maybe had that surprise factor, because even though they weren't prepared to play like that, there is an element of shock that they then adapted to. Boris turned out to play phenomenally. VandeR is apparently a god tier AD carry as well. So is now that novelty maybe worn off, and is it maybe a bit harder for them to repeat what they did yesterday now that they've shown something?
Definitely is going to be harder. I think that Misfits per se also is a better team individually, so I think the bot lane will not go the way it went yesterday, where they go even, but I think they will actually abuse the matchup. And I kind of think it's a cop-out that we used yesterday to a certain extent, that it was a surprise factor. I think when you play against a sub, maybe you're kind of scared to screw up because you will probably chastise for it on Reddit. So I think today there's not going to be a surprise factor, and I think it's actually going to be a tough match.
All right, we'll see the players are just setting up and trying to get into the lobby. So, Vedius?
I just want to chime in by bringing our attention to a player who we haven't really talked much about, which is Alphari up in the top lane. And that's largely because after his qualifying to the European LCS, he looked dominant in Challenger, he played a lot of carry top laners, and he showed that in his first split here. Then in summer, we changed the meta, he was on a lot more tanks, not as impressive, but now we're back towards this carry meta. We saw him bring out the Vladimir before, and I felt like that he had a good performance, and today, going up against Vizicsacsi, I'd like to see a bit more focus back towards the top side. I want to see this British duo invest toward the top side and see if they can make some of that UK magic happen again.
Go full lads up there and go up against Vizicsacsi, because we mentioned Nukeduck and all the rest of the members, but hello, Vizicsacsi yesterday was an absolute powerhouse as well. So I think there's going to be a lot to look out for. So can I get a prediction? I feel like this is one that can go either way, so I'm going to put the hard task in your hands and also allow you a bit of an explanation.
I think that Schalke looked cleaner yesterday. Obviously, Misfits lost, so it's a bit harder to predict. But I think Schalke had a lot of things going for them that were even away from their bot lane, which obviously was a replacement. So I like the top side of the map, and I think the top side of the map will win the game for them.
All right, Schalke vote from Amazing. Vedius?
I think that Misfits are the favorites coming into this. I think that they've seen what Schalke brought out yesterday. I think they'll identify the weaknesses in the bot lane. I think they'll come in with a good plan, and they should be able to take the win.
I believe they've heard us, because the players are ready. Misfits, they will be looking to strike back today as they go up against Schalke. Pyra, take it away.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. And yeah, wow, divided desk Deficio. Who do you give this one to?
Oh, making the caster predict here.
I know, right? I'm throwing you that
bias
curveball.
going into the game.
I tell you what, I'll save you. We'll do the lineups.
I think the viewers
instead.
are going to win.
That's the right answer.
Go.
All right, let's pull up our lineups for Misfits Gaming on the blue side. It is, of course, going to be Alphari in the top lane. His lad in the jungle, it's Maxlore. Sencux in mid. AD carry Hans Sama. Mikyx the support, and their coach, Hussein Musfi.
Yeah, yesterday, tough game for Misfits. Great game, though, from Schalke's side. And they're the next team we have to introduce here, because they're on the red side today. Vizicsacsi still up in that top lane, Pride in the jungle, Nukeduck mid lane, and now it gets spicy. Budget Forgiven, also called VandeR, is the AD carry. Boris
secret
is down there to support the secret weapon, and Andre is behind the team as the pick and ban coach. Yep. See the man on the screen right there. Came over from Giants, who he qualified to the LCS with.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, this team's definitely been dealt a bit of a rough hand with the illness in the first week of the ULCS.
Oh, is it a blessing?
Honestly, they have been playing pretty impressive nonetheless. Now, it's only one game in. We can't make any massive blanket statements just yet, but this is going to be a tougher task. Misfits with a tough early week schedule. Let's see if they can fire back here. We're going to get into picks and bans, and we'll find out what they decide to pick up.
All right, so yesterday, Misfits, they gambled. They said, you know what, we can snowball the early game, so they drafted Galio, Zyra Khan, Lee Sin. it completely backfired. They didn't get any advantage in the mid lane. They didn't manage to execute tower dives. I think they might just take a step back and say, okay, maybe it was too much focus on trying to early snowball against this double TP meta that we're kind of seeing in most games. So we could see a more late game focused Misfits.
And I wonder who they decide to target out, because there are a lot of weapons on the Schalke side. Obviously, we've heard a lot about Nukeduck, but VandeR has definitely shown up. And he can't ban all the AD carries and the mid laners.
Oh, Schalke taking away the Xayah to remove the Xayah-Rakan combination, meaning we won't really see Rakan either. The Zoe ban, we did see Caps play it and lose on it today. Had a fine performance, but in the end, they ended up losing against H2K. Very, very good game. Definitely recommend going back and watch that one if you're just checking out the VODs.
Yes, indeed. So, focus on the mid lane so far for Misfits. Schalke sticking on the AD carries. 10 more seconds to find out what that last ban is going to be for their side in phase number 1. Do they decide to take another one away from Hans Sama? Is he the real threat for them? No, they get rid of the Jarvan.
So Sejuani suddenly becomes a very contested pick, but it is the Ryze, as always, being favored here. I like the choice here. Take it away from Nukeduck. He was amazing on it yesterday. And Sencux gets to play champion, where once again, he can be aggressive in the early game.
And he gets to roam around with it too. That's always been the Sencux strategy. Now, of course, on Schalke's side, they start with the Braum lock-in. They grab themselves the Kha'Zix for Pride. That's right up his alley.
All right, so we're basically learning that Schalke values the Kha'Zix here above Sejuani, which is not something that can be said for every team around the world. They were fine even giving away first pick Sejuani for a trade. The Braum pick, great performance from Boris yesterday on it, and probably a person or a player with a smaller champion pool than the rest, seeing as he obviously retired.
Few subtle shots.
So I guess getting Braum for him early is pretty important. Wow, blind Gangplank instantly coming in from Misfits.
I feel like Alphari's angry. I think he wants to win his lane. He was getting dunked on pretty hard yesterday by VandeR.
Very true, and I actually feel like GP is a fairly safe blind pick, because some of the picks against him, like Lucian top, that you can use to win the lane, is then obviously very weak in team fights. So I think actually the GP is a fine choice here for Misfits. Very strong first rotation. Cassiopeia coming in. A pick that used to be taken against Ryze almost all the time is now sneaking its way back into the meta here. And Nukeduck gets to play. We've seen it a few times over in LCK as well.
Yeah, not a lot. And it kind of does seem a little bit strange that we hadn't seen it as much. But clearly Nukeduck is trusting he's going to be able to get those plays on it. Now, entering ban phase 2, Tahm Kench is removed from Schalke. Let's see what Misfits answer with.
Yeah, Schalke could also look to remove Taric if they want to.
A lot of
right
protection
now,
supports.
If Schalke gets another really strong late game AD carry, they have this machine gun late game with Cassiopeia and whatever AD carry that is, where it's on Misfits to try and dive the back line with Sejuani, with Gangplank and his ulti. So Misfits actually set up pretty well, team comp-wise, to deal with this Cassiopeia. We just have to see the next few picks as well, if that fits in, because Misfits have a lot of damage and CC that can reach Schalke's backline at the moment.
Well, it looks like Misfits, with the last of their bans, are going to be focusing on Vizicsacsi, who's of course yet to pick a champion. Schalke's already banned away the Kog'Maw to pair with the Tahm Kench, so Hans Sama won't get any more hyper carries. There's the Ornn going away. Chachi was a beast on this champion.
And I really want to see if Chachi wants to take a carry top lane and try and shut down GP early, because GP's laning phase is not super strong. He does get pushed in by quite a lot of matchups, and you can then tower dive him, especially with things like Cassiopeia. Sorry, I mean with Kha'Zix. So if Vizicsacsi actually takes a matchup where he can push and win early on, they can try and shut down Alphari. But Chachi yesterday, he played that Ornn basically to perfection. So I think it's a smart ban for Misfits.
Talk about the machine gun from Schalke, though. They're going to add some more firepower to their artillery.
Yeah, it's the kind of setup.
VandeR on the Tristana. Misfits thinking about the Varus. It is one of Hans Sama's most played champions. Of course, very powerful, very popular choice.
Yeah.
And add some more lockdown and CC to their composition.
And Misfits have always done well when they bring utility from the AD carry role. Hans Sama adds wave clear and of course his ulti to further strengthen this Misfits team fight composition. Mikyx Thresh here against Braum would be a little bit surprising, but he's actually going for it, so he's not sticking with just like the strongest possible teamfight setup. Wants a bit of pick potential here.
I was going to say, I feel like this gives them a bit of flexibility on the Misfit side, and it seems to make sense, right? They had a very one-dimensional strategy yesterday that got shut down hard by G2. This time, they can go one way, they can go the other, and for Schalke, this last pick, this is also another Chachi special, the Cho'Gath that was so popular last season.
And it is a pick that can push early on and try and set up very easy tower dives. if he gets a jungler up there, if Nukeduck can roam. But it is difficult for Nukeduck to really leave his lane against this Ryze here, who can follow with ulti. And with the spellbook, you just grab TP early. But that Thresh here from Mikyx, showing me that Misfits are very confident. In fact, their bot lane can make plays happen early game. Schalke's bottom lane yesterday fell behind in CS, just wanted to farm and do nothing else. VandeR didn't hit every single last hit, so he missed a few minions here and there. But then in teamfights, they actually did much better, and when they got some help. So I think Misfits are saying we're confident we can beat that 2v2. We take the Thresh, we pair that up with Sejuani ulti and her stun later on from Sejuani's passive coming in. We pair it up with a Ryze single target CC, and you have a lot of pick potential on Misfits' side here if Mikyx is unlocked.
Well, Mikyx's done it before on that Thresh. In the vein of great support players across the European LCS's history, we'll see if Misfits can pull it off and secure themselves their first win of the Spring Split up against Schalke. Even in a sub situation, looked damn good. Can they pull it off against the Misfits? It is going to be an epic battle.
So much focus on both mid laners in this one. And Nukeduck bringing out the old Cassiopeia here to try and beat the Ryze. So much focus on Schalke's 2 carries, sitting in the back line, trying to kill the front line of Misfits. But there are a lot of things they have to deal with, like a Gangplank and the barrels.
Oh yeah. Well, this is going to get explosive before too long. It is FC Schalke, Nulfia taking on Misfits as we load up onto Summoner's Rift for the final time here in Week 1. Sun setting on the Rift.
A single Chachi fan in the crowd.
It's very passionate though.
2 Chachi fans in the crowd.
They're multiplying.
Let's see in this game here. Nukeduck is running Phase Rush on this Cassiopeia here, so wants the additional movement speed for himself. There's not a lot of great keystones for her, which I think is one of the reasons. She kind of suffered a little bit after the big runes reforged change happened. But Phase Rush is okay for her.
Yeah, the only other time it's been picked into Ryze this season, of course, was BDD earlier on. That didn't win that game, but over in the LCK. Nukeduck, though, very confident in his ability as a mid laner. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he's been here since season 3, man. He's old school.
Back then, you were good enough to play LCS.
I'm glad to say good enough to play and not just good, because then I would have to call you out for lying there.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I got you.
I got pretty carried.
I'm many things of Deficio, but a liar is not one of them.
Good times, though, getting paid for getting carried by Bjergsen.
Well, there you go.
Now let's see in this game here. No one is going to get carried this time around, except for this little leash for Alphari, carrying the early jungle path for Maxlore.
This game was definitely going to be all about the carries for sure. I want to see what Pride can do early on. There's a lot of value placed on this Kha'Zix. We talked a lot about it last split, what this young, mechanically proficient jungler could do when he was on a champion that he had made a name for himself. Not as much of a name as the Rengar, but secondary.
And he's the kind of player who doesn't need to be the most vocal member on the Schalke lineup with Chachi, Nukeduck, VandeR, seasoned veterans that can kind of guide him early on in this split here. And he had a good performance yesterday on the Kha'Zix as well.
True. He's not the only one that had a good performance, too. I mean, I honestly can't heap enough praise on the likes of Vizicsacsi. He's not a comfortable champion here, but he's got so many comfortable champions, and he's made so many things happen in his time on the Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, the biggest thing for Vizicsacsi is, of course, MVP in 2017 Spring. Then also the fact that he's made All-Pro team every single season, man. Ever since we introduced it 2 years ago, he's always been on it up in that top lane. And this game here, he will have push in the early lane, but he needs to respect the fact the UK lads can group up together, Alphari and Maxlore. Potentially duo on top side, but it is tough for them actually to shut them with Chachi in this one.
Yeah, we were looking at them as the big power couple on this Misfits squad. The core of the team, that was retained. Of course, one game in, again, it's a tough schedule for Misfits. They face G2, now they face Schalke.
Gets a little bit easier with the fact that Upset is not here. He's still at home, sick. So VandeR is playing AD carry and Boris is in for support here, meaning that we have to say that Misfits are favorites going into the game, especially for that reason.
If even slight, however, we do want to talk about the bottom lane too, because this is where, as you mentioned early on, Misfits trusting that they can get the outplays, get the early push on. Hansama, of course, has range on VandeR's Tristana, does not want to let him get to that late game beast AD carry status that he had yesterday.
If we go to the mid lane, we can see Nukeduck is already pushing in Sencux here with the Cassiopeia, but Once again, Spellbook on the Ryze, go back, grab TP, return to lane very quickly. Nukeduck needs to have the first recall if he wants to try and match that. And you can then push this one in, go back, and actually buy his first item, and then return to lane if he wants to. And then he doesn't fall too far behind when Sencux goes back the first time. So he's using his advantage correctly here. You want to make sure you never let the Ryze TP back while you haven't recalled yet. And then he gets the early push, and he can just leave.
Oh yeah, Sencux catching back up on that farm. Decided not to back away though. Of course, he has the much easier path, as you were saying.
Yeah, grab one more wave and accept that you won't get to roam early, and that's fine.
Early game of pressure though, right? Like everything causes a ripple effect. If he can't be getting out to the other lanes earlier on, it means that the rest of Schalke are going to have an easier time.
Yeah, because I really want to see Schalke tower dive Alphari in the early game. There is a stopwatch though on GP, which is one of the big things for him, and one of the reasons he's so good right now is because it's very hard to actually kill him in lane due to stopwatch for himself. Klepto as well gives him a lot of extra goodies. A few potions here, a lot of extra gold by just shooting his Q in the face of Vizicsacsi over and over, so it gets a bit harder to shut down. One of the best scaling champions in the game, but it is definitely still possible to tower dive and kill him. Yeah,
Chachi, of course, still going to have a little bit of power early on. Now, there's a very farm advantage as well, but that Klepto is going to make up some of the difference. Yeah, Gangplank's back. It's been a while, hasn't it, Deficio?
Yeah, I do like him now that we had the rework, and there's actually a lot of mechanics required with the barrels. The old one back in the day that just had to click ult and Q people, and that was it.
Yeah, now you have to upgrade that ultimate.
You actually need to have a little bit of a brain to play this Gangplank.
Pride making moves with the Blast Cone, stepping over the river. And that one ward won't spot him because it's just on the edge of the vision, but the next one will, of course, as he makes moves into Misfits jungle. Turns tail back around. No Sejuani in the area. Pride, I'm wondering if he's going for some counter-jungling action or if he just wanted to find Maxlore.
I could also have checked the brush there and actually found the control ward, but decided just place this one ward you see right here. Spots Maxlore going down to the bottom side, so they know exactly where the jungler is at. Right now, that means on top side, where Alphari is actually overextended at the moment, there is a chance for Pride to get the first gank, but very good vision from Misfits to try and track where Pride is, because you can actually see him. He really wants to go top lane.
Sencux, okay. Just heel turned on that Petrifying Gaze, and he's able to make it out alive. No summoners burnt in the mid lane.
Great pressure here from Nukeduck. Early on, winning the lane, keeping Sencux low. Ryze is not allowed to leave the lane. Pride is topside, as we talked about. It was mainly actually just because his Raptor Cam was about to spawn, and he waited around for that one.
Alright, Hook. He's going to catch the Tristana. Even through Boris Unbreakable. Gets the play back, so they have the damage to get first blood. Ignite on the Braum, and he's going to flash it out. Still got those mechanics, Deficio.
Just like yesterday, though, under pressure in the early game, VandeR falling behind.
Yeah.
See if Chachi can do something topside.
He's got the feast. He's going to have the damage, though. Vorpal spikes. Alphari's dodging a few. On that Sheen, he's starting to hit hard himself.
No early kills in this game. Close one down the bottom lane.
I mean, even in the mid.
Mid lane as well, yeah, very true. Nukeduck got very close here, so no early tower dives on the Gangplank. Obviously wants to rush that Trinity Force. Another great thing for Gangplank is getting Sterix after. Gives a bit of tankiness, and once he completes it, he also gets a lot more base AD, which is the key thing about Sterix. Gives you 50% base AD, and that actually means your Sheen will proc for a lot more damage. And it's a good little DPS boost plus tankiness for the GP with that shield.
Just keep it going. And we talked a lot about the late game potential of these teams, especially on Schalke's side, but who really does have to make those early moves? It's kind of hard to tell in all honesty.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of scaling on both sides, so I don't think necessarily any team needs to go all in early game here. This is another one of these games in this meta that comes down to the big late game team fighting. Obviously Misfits with the Thresh pick are saying they want more early game on the bottom side, and they are using it right now. So for Misfits, one of the goals is get this bot lane tower down. They can use GP ulti, they can use Maxlore, and of course a roam from Ryze late on in the game. For now though, they're looking top. Vizicsacsi.
Right in the brush, Maxlore. Oh, Chachi's going to check right into it, jumping out with the Arctic Assault. He gets silenced, but the permafrost is on. Chachi is able to wander back under tower. Ooh, sometimes placing the ward itself is a dangerous affair.
So they get Vizicsacsi low, so he has to consider recalling, but he does to get the free farm here. Alphari is fine not joining the action, just wants to keep farming and farming and farming forever.
Alphari has definitely been a little bit of a different player lately. I'll talk about that as Hans Sama, isolated, gets jumped on by VandeR and Boris. He's able to turn it back around with a piercing arrow, and Mikyx trying to head them off in the pass. Getting some assistance from Alphari, flashing forward, gets the flay back, the hook, and it's going to be point blank, pulled in. VandeR VandeR with a swag stopwatch, but that's not going to do much, but save a few seconds. First blood to Mikyx.
Oh, VandeR almost needed to just stopwatch the hook instead, but he couldn't. Pride is here now.
Yeah, looking for some revenge, so they have the damage. That is a lot courtesy of the electrocute. Even Nukeduck is coming in with the miasmas. Oh, and the twin bang. Nukeduck nails it.
All right, they got a kill in return here. 1-for-1 in the bottom lane. GP ulti was also used. Very important to highlight that. Fairly long cooldown here. And Nukeduck walks down to pick up this kill. He's ahead in CS in lane. Gets an early kill. Very quickly, this Cassiopeia will deal a lot of damage.
Yeah, net sum, the gold is pretty much bang on even, still at that 9-minute mark, but we got to see where the gold went. Nukeduck was the one that got it on the Schalke side.
All right, so they know Mikyx is walking into the jungle to ward. That's why they jump straight onto Ansama here with VandeR using his rocket jump. Then Boris misses the Q, meaning they don't get a stun onto Hansama, and they return here. VandeR is already slowed down a little bit, then he gets flayed. So again, hard for him when he's slow to actually dodge the hook, meaning it connects. VandeR could have used the stopwatch to avoid the hook at least, but it doesn't really matter for him because he ends up going down. Return kill, Pyro.
Yes, indeed. Easy peasy. Seen this one before. A couple seconds ago, in fact, and Mikyx didn't know what hit him, but Nukeduck was able to get the kill gifted back over to him, and the dead Thresh hook.
Oh, I love the fact he actually hit the minion.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, we go towards the top lane. Vizicsacsi under pressure.
Maxlore looking for the dive under tower. Chachi knows something's up. He sniffed it out, and Maxlore's not able to connect.
Yeah, I like this new Vizicsacsi here on Schalke. Not just staying in lane, trying to survive the 1v3 dive. He just walks away. Good shot calling on Schalke side, because the play is actually really smart by Misfits, utilizing Sencux ulti to get in there. But because Vizicsacsi backs away, nothing happens. Bot lane.
Hey, it looks like they're going for another one. The box gets popped up, but it's Mikyx on the menu. And 3 members of Schalke are going to sink their teeth in. Pride is the one who picks up the kill.
And this is again the problem with champs like Thresh. You need to make plays happen. But when you have no flash, it's very easy to just kill a Thresh. He can't really escape. There is no extra mobility from him, and he's fairly squishy early. And Schalke knows that, so they just call for Pride. Braum lands one auto, one Q, whatever that you want, and then bam, you get very easy kill.
Yeah, they put the gold on Pride Soccer, of course, but all across the board, Schalke have been able to respond at least in the bottom lane. Let's see how it went down again. Pride.
And it's so easy, because you can always jump in with Tristana and then have the Braum jump onto Tristana, and you get in range of Thresh to actually land the Braum passive. It's a really good combo to play if you're winning the lane, because you always just tell Tristana to jump forward, and you just follow with your own W, put the shield up in front, Tristana takes no damage, and then you just apply the passive and you get the kill.
I like how Mikyx was just like, I got you, bro, I got you, Hansama. And Hansama was like out, and then the rest of the team was like, oh, we got you. That's great.
Well, the problem for Mikyx is going to be the fact that Braum late game is far superior to Thresh. Unless Thresh is Mad Life. Well, Season 3 Mad Life.
There you go. I mean, we're going Season 3 this whole cast for sure. But I do want to take another moment to talk about VandeR, because it wasn't his laning phase that impressed us. It was what came after.
Yeah.
And holy moly, man, this guy's a secret carry.
He was down 40 CS at 15 minutes in the last game, but he had some great team fighting. We do have to look at Maxlore and Alphari top lane. The lads.
Oh, he's going to flash out the Ice Bola. Keep on walking away. Ryze coming to intercept here. Sencux, he wants in. Teleport. Is he going to pull the SOAS? Is he going to do it? Oh, he can't quite get out. Into Rune Prison, and down he goes.
Sucks. Now let's get the VandeR graphic back and look at some of the late game numbers from him, which actually were fairly impressive. As you can see, 10 KDA towards the end, high kill participation, decent damage per minute. We've seen higher, but he had one big team fight. His performance, though, it led us to a very important question. Also a big question coming into the EU LCS. Who can take Sven's spot and challenge Reckless? All these great AD carries you see on your screen in the EU LCS. Ton of AD carry talent. Many true picks, Sheriff, some of the new rookies.
Dude, I mean, even some of the guys that have been there, Kabi.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear from everyone at home who they actually think can take that spot that Sven left behind.
We challenge Riot Deficio with your picks for AD carry.
Needs to be someone who's on this screen.
Okay, good. Screenshot it too.
Let's get back to the game.
Yeah, I mean, we're about 13 minutes in. It's 2-2 in kills. Vizicsacsi's oopsie aside. We'll see what ends up happening here because of where the kills are, where the damage is. It's on a couple of carries on the Schalke side. We've got one in Pride. We've got one for Nukeduck. Nukeduck continuing to demand attention in the mid lane.
Always pushing. Bot lane now, Maxlore. Trying to see if he can actually pull off a gank. A few seconds on the flash.
All right, they have caught out Boris, who's going to get a big glacial fissure, and he stands right in front of VandeR, and he's out alive.
Good defense here from Boris. Mikyx did use his Ignite, but that was about it. There was no ulti from Maxlore, actually. Still on cooldown for a few more seconds. So I think they just wanted to try and force a flash, and then see if they can return to this bot lane. Because we already talked about how with this Misfits setup and the Thresh, they need to kind of play around that side. You don't necessarily play a lot around the GP early, because you just let him farm and he can use his ult aggressively. Oh, another.
Big aggressive. All right, Mikyx throws in the box,
here.
but Nukeduck has already arrived, and VandeR hops. He flashes. Does he have the damage? He gets the stun off. In comes Maxlore and throws the bola on top of Nukeduck. The teleport around the side. Alphari looking to join the fray, and it is a party in the bot lane. Everyone's invited. Sencux going in for the Realm Warp as Alphari has picked off VandeR. Sencux flashing forward to try and pick off Nukeduck, and they're going to take down Boris. Misfits cleaning house under turret. Down goes Nukeduck for a double kill.
Oh,
Alphari.
Schalke thought they could get a quick kill right there. Chachi's TP is on cooldown, so they didn't want to take a long fight. They didn't actually want to chase. But because Mikyx managed to stay alive in the start, it bought enough time for Misfits to react. TPs came in. Ryze joined as well. Quick turnaround. 3 kills. Bot lane tower. We thought it was Misfits setting up an aggressive play on bottom side. It ended up being Schalke. It just went in favor of Misfits.
Yeah, unfortunately, Schalke called that play without the teleport from Vizicsacsi, so the poor Cho'Gath wasn't invited to the party.
Again, they were just looking at that one quick kill. They've already killed Mikyx twice. Thought they could do it again. Sadly, for Schalke, completed backfight. So look at this play here. Nukeduck is already roaming down to this bot lane here with Ghost Puck. They think Mikyx is going to get stunned when Nukeduck is actually in range of him. But because Mikyx flashes away, just needed one more hit. Nukeduck ends up overextending for this, and now Alphari can TP behind. Ryze can join in. Just a matter of 1 second right there on that last hit onto Mikyx. Good flash from him.
I know that was like a really, really solid fight for Misfits to turn things around. I just love the fact that it starts with Alphari shooting the Tristana, and Tristana's like, no, I got a bigger gun. Knocks him back into the team. Great little interaction.
Well, they all died.
Side. Yep.
So I guess in the end, the small gun won out. Finally.
All right. We are now 15 minutes on the clock. 2.5, nearly 3K gold lead opened up for Misfits after that last play. They did give up the Rift Herald in response as Vizicsacsi and Pride double teamed. So it should open up a tower first of the game for Schalke.
And Hans Sama is not going for Rage Blade first, which traditionally is a very big power spike on one item. He's going for Blade of the Ruined King, trying to deal with Vizicsacsi in the upcoming fights. But it does make him a lot weaker right now down the bot lane compared to just going straight for Rage Blade. But it's not that big of a difference for him. And again, he's just getting ready for team fights, which is going to be the big thing in this game here. Misfits, though, after that bot lane play, great advantage, trying to rush towards 2 items faster than Schalke.
Yeah. I mean, the big bet for Misfits this game was that their bot lane would be able to outplay. Now, they did bring, you know, a few friends, but sometimes you got to bring a few more people if you want to outplay the enemy team.
Remember how I wanted this top lane dive like 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, well, it's coming true.
We might be getting it now. Or Pride is hoping that Maxlore shows up to try and gank Vizicsacsi, and then he turns it around. He's sneaking his way into the second rush. And then he sneaks his way into the river. Not where I expected him to sneak towards, but he's doing it anyway.
Sencux, prison on Boris. Ooh, just outside of the knockup. Whoa, glacial prison thrown out. Hook is on, but they catch Boris and see if they want to force this fight at 3v3. Gangplank joining the fray from afar. Pride looking to hop in. Spotted on the ward though. Misfits have all the information and back off.
Top lane tower still stands for Misfits. They even send Hansama up there now to defend. With that blade completed, Mikyx placing a ward to see if he can catch someone in the rotation, but will not get VandeR. Ooh, he's hiding. He's hiding in the tri-bush now. Can he do something?
Schalke knows something's up.
Mikyx sneak.
Hook. Ooh! Last second dodge.
I think
they're honing those mechanics.
Would have been a quick one for Misfits, but Pride was around to try and turn it around. So maybe for the best that Mikyx didn't hit the hook here. Meanwhile, Nukeduck is no longer allowed to just push his lane, because Misfits won the bot side, then took control of the mid side. Now they're going for Vizicsacsi.
All right, the 2-man Realm Warp looking for Chachi. Turns tail around, but he runs right into Alphari. The Righteous Glory was not enough to get him out of harm's way. He's running back towards the wrong side of the tower, but Nukeduck and Pride are coming down. Does his health bar have enough to stay? I don't think so. Gets the feast on. Alphari's taken a little bit low, but Maxlore ends up coming up with that kill, and that will be all she wrote.
He tried to stay alive for as long as possible, even using the flash, but there was no stopwatch for him to buy even more time. Another kill for Misfits. Good use of that Ryze ulti, but mid lane tower is open right now.
Yep, here's the Rift Herald. Earlier picked up as a consolation prize for the play in the bot, and Pride's just going to set it and forget it. No, He's actually coming right back with Nukeduck. There's no one here to defend this tower, and down it goes. Schalke on the board and towers.
Top lane as well. Mikyx and Ansama will trade against Boris. This top lane tower is low for both teams, actually. Might be a big fight up here soon. See who can actually get the objective. Meanwhile, we have to remember this Gangplank got 2 kills in the previous fight down bot lane. Been farming a lot. Alphari is almost on 2 items. He's getting very strong, and he's not been shut down early. It's a good setup. Nice use of a push mid from Maxlore and Sencux together into just a quick roam down, and this is what Ryze can do over and over.
Yeah, Chachi. It may have taken a little while to slay the beast, but in the end, 3-on-1. The rest of the team couldn't quite arrive in time.
And the good thing for them is they've already pushed mid, so they're not losing anything immediately. But then, of course, because there was a Rift Herald picked up earlier and there was a low mid tower, eventually they would have died. So I think the trade-off is okay for Misfits, knowing they couldn't really defend mid.
But after all that, the gold gap hasn't actually gotten any closer. It's widening ever so slightly. Misfits still about 3,000 and some change here as VandeR and Boris continue to defend that turret, stalwart. This course is only 1-1. We're nearing that 20-minute mark, but the map isn't busted as wide open as we're used to.
Oh, Misfits are completely controlling topside in terms of all the wards here. Deep wards in the jungle, control wards in the river. They're really trying to see if they can find someone, either create a pick or just make a play on topside. For now, though, they're just resetting. I think Ansama is sitting on some gold he wants to spend.
That was an unlucky shot on the blue buff. Poor Nukeduck.
It is tough. Even after playing the game for 7 years, sometimes that blue buff just gets away from you.
You miss 100% of the Twin Fangs you don't make, Deficio.
That is very true. Do you miss them if you don't use them?
If they did, our stats would be busted.
That is true. Pride Stalker on the top side. Gotta respect the fact that an early Baron.
I've seen this before. Hang on a second. Chachi, it's a 2v1 this time, and he's going to get stunned up by the permafrost, trying to duke it out and get an eat on, but that's not going to be doing anything. Maxlore once again getting the kill.
It's a very big problem right now for Schalke that their draft doesn't really have any easy hard engage to use. So when Misfits are sending 2 members or 3 members to kill Vizicsacsi, Schalke can't right now force anything elsewhere. Baron is alive, and once we get a little bit longer into the game, they're strong enough to start the Baron in case there are 2 members showing bot lane. But for now, Misfits are happy just killing Chachi over and over. It's a long lane. Alphari's very, very fond Gangplank at this point.
Yeah. It's a little strange. It feel like they're catching Schalke really unsuspecting. Normally, when you want to shut down that Cho'Gath, you do it in the laning phase, but instead they just do it in the long lane when there's no tower for him to get back to.
And right now we have that stairs completed on the Gangplank. We talked about it earlier. I think I said 50% base at AD. It's just 50 base AD, just to correct myself there. But it does mean his Sheen will deal even more damage with it. And of course the shield helps, because the Gangplank in teamfights can be pretty difficult to play. You are fairly squishy, but you want to still get in and see if you can get a hit with your passive on someone. And of course land the barrels, so you do need some of that extra tankiness in the big fights.
It's not the only one that's getting big item completed, of course, though. We already saw the Dustblade Draktar on Pride as Boris gets pulled in. He hops right back, but Misfits gang squad will not be denied, and Alphari picks up kill number 3.
Yeah, Schalke's comp right now can't force anything aggressively because they're so far behind. Misfits are in full control. They just send Maxlore to whatever lane they want to. They pick up a kill, use the pick comp here with the Thresh, and they secure the mid lane tower. Top lane tower is still extremely low from earlier, so that's going to be 3 outer turrets down very, very soon.
And with the control they're exerting around that river, Baron has to be in their sights as well. It seems like for Misfits, this time around the plan is going well.
It is not getting challenged in the early game. That play in the bot lane where Schalke went all in for Mikyx cost them so much. Nukeduck suddenly couldn't pressure mid anymore because they'd lost the bot lane. First tower went down, huge gold advantage for Misfits very quickly. And now it's 6,000.
All right, Schalke need to stop the bleeding. But remember, they do have that crazy machine gun late game. Cassiopeia, Tristana. The Cho'Gath is not going to deal a small amount of damage too.
But will Misfits allow them to just sit there and deal damage? It's really hard to play things like Cassiopeia against Gangplank because his ulti is just constantly slowing you down. You have to dodge around different barrels. There's going to be randomly Sejuani ultis flying left and right. Nukeduck luckily sitting with Cleanse. There's a lot of things you gotta dodge around. And you're gonna be slowed down for most of it. So it is not super easy for Nukeduck to just sit and hammer away in every single fight.
Yeah, definitely tense moment. Schalke finding themselves far on the back foot. Only consolation is they've managed to at least get a tower out of it. Of course, Dragon earlier on, but their vision is scattered. It's hard for them to find where Misfits are. Misfits controlling everything.
And they can't really make a play top because there's this really annoying Ryze Hourglass ulti away, so you can't really collapse on him easily. On the bottom side, you can actually try and kill Alphari, but it's going to take a long time. And he's pretty slippery on this GP. So they don't have a good lane to play around. They have to just try and hope that Misfits messes up around Baron.
While we play out that action, of course, here in Berlin. Remember, the NALCS pregame show is starting up over in Los Angeles, and you can catch it on twitch.tv/NALCS. After the final Nexus falls, we'll continue here, the EU LCS postgame lobby on twitch.tv/EULCS. Just in case your stream starts moving around, you know where to find everything.
And if you're hardcore, you've been watching League of Legends.
You got dual streams, man.
I mean, you've been watching League of Legends since 9 in the morning, starting with LCK, into EULCS, into NALCS.
The action doesn't stop. Deficio, Maxlore on top of Boris right now. Hops back to Nukeduck. They turn it back around. Misfits decide they're not going to keep pushing. However, nice little fadeaway shot to clear out the wards. Mikyx and Hansama working like a well-oiled dual lane.
Schalke didn't get any defensive vision on their side, though, so Misfits are still in full control. Kind of waiting for them to just start Baron and then turn for the big fight. There's a Drake being soloed by Alphari.
Pretty easy for him to just start things up now.
He's
he might have to
scared
run
of
away
Drake.
because Schalke's actually coming for him.
Runs away from this one. I really want to see crit flank. Give me that Infinity Edge Alphari. I want to see the big plays.
Well, he's working his way there. The Phantom Dancer already completed. Now, in the brief moment that Misfits back away, Schalke have managed to clear some vision around Baron Pit.
And we have to remember, Schalke can kill Baron so quickly.
They have a lot of damage.
Cassiopeia, Cho'Gath Feast. If Misfits are just staying away from Baron for too long, we're talking like 5-6 seconds.
Yeah.
Baron is dead.
No, I mean, they've got a lot of great damage. The problem is, they can't really kill Misfits really quick.
No, see, that is a problem.
Yeah.
So I guess you can kill the Baron and then you can die to Misfits, which doesn't really work either.
No, it just kind of, well, it doesn't feed it over like a buff. But Misfits very easily take back all the vision they lost. So the Baron Dance has begun, but Misfits might want to take things up a step or two. Down to 8,000 health already. We'll see if Schalke are able to respond. Boris, VandeR poking around the side. The hook catches. Let's see if they can hop in. Pride Stalker might have to go for that blind steal. Throws in the ward, but he's not going to get any vision out of it.
Oh, they're not giving him 50-50 to take the fight.
They want to do it. So inside the box goes Boris, and he's not going to go back down the fountain. Maxlore whips on that ultimate, just dodged out, but they're not done yet. Teleport coming in. Vizicsacsi wants him to join the party. This is an extended engage, and it ends with no kills.
That was a big one here for Schalke. Boris stayed alive, and they managed to stop the Baron. It was very low. Misfits did not want to risk a 50-50 against Pride.
Very clean, very controlled macro from Misfits. We did expect this, of course, coming into the split with them. This team had so much more experience. Remember, they made it all the way to the top 4 at Worlds. And in all honesty, they added some players that, you can call them side grades, you can call them downgrades if you want, but they're playing pretty well as a unit already.
I think I'm going to say long-term upgrades for Misfits, but we'll take a bit of time to integrate the new members, Mikyx and Sencux. Now, obviously, at this point in the game, Misfits can return to Baron and do the exact same thing we just saw them do. Another option is, if Gangplank stays bot lane, send Maxlore down, kill Vizicsacsi 2v1, take the tower, and then if Schalke rushes a Baron, you can just TP in with GP and it's 4v4. So there are multiple options for Misfits, but the main one is play around Baron, get it, or get a big team fight.
All right, Maxlore going in to clear back out the vision. The dance continues.
Ooh, VandeR is still pretty far behind here.
Yeah, only got 2.5 items.
Really wants to fully complete that rapid fire cannon. They have full control. Chachi also is only level 14 to level 16 on Alphari.
Oh, this looked like a bait rush, but Hansama gave up the ghost. Here we go, Boris stepping forward. Not quite able to land the Winter Spite. Piercing arrow. Takes a chunk out of the shield of VandeR. He steps forward, has Pride at his back. Mikyx still waiting in the brush, but Misfits know they don't want to take this fight just yet.
A lot of pressure though on these Schalke carries, and one of them is a sub. VandeR, of course, normally support. Let's see the fight.
They've got the stun. Here we go. Vizicsacsi takes a little bit of damage here. Boris stepping in front of Pride. Those chains, are they corrupting enough? A couple of roots come down, and it's Boris that follows first in this fight. 5-on-4. Now can Misfits clean up the house? Nukeduck caught, isolated from his team, and Mikyx slays him. That's got to be the go button for Baron.
It is so hard for Schalke to fight here. They don't have enough damage at the point in the game, and Misfits with this super fed Gangplank, and of course Sencux and Ansama can just kill the front line of Schalke. Baron is started. Baron. Pride is still here.
fights beginning.
Oh, Sencux might die.
Oh, Sencux, yeah, holy moly. For 1 second, he has to stop his watch and flash away.
They're not getting Baron,
Misfits
what?
get cold feet right there.
Oh, they stop it again.
It's a good stall from Schalke. Remember, the late game, this is what they want. They need to get VandeR's farm back up. They need to get the machine gun online.
Need to turn on Forgiven mode for VandeR as well in these late game fights. Let's see what happens again. It's a good setup here, Mikyx. Lands. Didn't land hook, but he was trying at least. Pride actually jumped in way too aggressive. That forced Boris to save him, so his own jungler actually just forced the Braum to die. That's
Brulus betrayal.
not a good call for Pride to just jump in like that. Nukeduck also dies. Now Baron is being started
Round
again.
3 for Misfits. In plain sight. Actually, no, it's not, because the ward is stopping them from seeing anything, but they gotta know what's going on. Baron gonna go uncontested. This time, Misfits had the power. Just shy of 30 minutes, they pick up Baron Nashor. 8,000 gold in the lead, 4 towers to 1. Jaws are closing.
Got the Baron, they got the bot lane tower actually as well. Doing that fight we were just watching before here. 11,000 gold lead for Misfits. I should say 9,000 gold lead.
Yeah, I completely did my maths wrong. So thank you for saving me there, Deficio.
Well, I said 11,000 first, so
Yeah, that's
I changed it to 9. No,
I said 8, so, you know, averages.
Right, there we go. We'll meet in the middle. Say it's 9.
I dig it. All right. Speaking of meeting, red buff might be the next place. No, Nukeduck and Boris decide they don't have the numbers advantage to take it. Pride's coming up around the side as well. Looks like they're just trying to get a quick catch on to even out some of those odds.
Just think they kind of do something crazy right now to see if they can get a kill. They're looking for Alphari.
Yeah, maybe they do. He burns the flash, gets grounded for a second, but he's able to walk it out. 1 Twin Fang, 2 Twin Fang. Nukeduck does not want to go any deeper under tower.
Top and mid right now, Misfits are just pushing.
Yep.
They don't even need to take a fight at this point. They can just keep getting more objectives. I think Schalke, the call they make is risky, but it does make sense when you're this far down and the enemy team is sitting with Baron buff. You're just like, if you can get 1 kill, yeah, you might lose a tower for it, but then they can't really push more than that.
Let's see if they can get him out. Nope. Sencux pulling the old Ryze and the Hourglass.
We gotta remove that one from the game.
Hail as old as time, Deficio. At least it feels like that after today.
You've seen that one a lot.
Yeah. Completely intentional interaction.
It actually just means Ryze can play so aggressive. He can play so far forward.
He can't get punished, right?
Exactly. Like
As long as he's got those on cooldown.
it's a great thing for Ryze, and it's one of the reasons he's so good in this meta.
Of course, we have seen, even in our previous game, that Ryze can't be everything. Sencux, of course, has got his 1 kill on the board. Really, hardly anyone from Misfits has died. It's only been Mikyx, and that's been just a couple of engages down towards bot. A few extended things happening.
Ever since they won that fight in bot lane, they've been controlling the game because they got such a huge lead from it. And we're kind of waiting for them to break open the base at this point. It's kind of the same tale as before, where it was just about getting Baron. Now it's like you have a super strong, 5-on-5 with a fairly fit Gangplank at this point, I would say. 4 full completed items and Finch just sitting in there, so very expensive items as well.
It's getting scary.
And now you just need to win that one fight to actually close out the game. But typically, the first Baron doesn't win you the game. You gotta get a second one.
Slow pressure game. Don't give an opportunity for Schalke to try and come back into it. Remember, they do have some dangerous carries. Nukeduck on the Cassiopeia.
And VandeR.
And VandeR. You can never underestimate this guy.
If you just tuned in and you have not been following the news around EU LCS this week, Upset, the normal AD carry for Schalke, the rookie, is sadly sick and unable to play, which is why VandeR is now the AD carry.
On the other hand, if you decided to draft VandeR into your fantasy league,
Like I did.
you were laughing all the way to the bank.
Well, yesterday, yeah. I got a lot of points yesterday.
This is all gravy at this point, Deficio.
Today
Can't get too greedy.
Today we need some more from VandeR.
Learned some lessons about greed already today. The hook. Not going to catch on Chachi. VandeR trying to push back. It's the taunt, but yeah, you can see waves pushing in all 3 lanes here, courtesy of Misfits. Baron buff well used as it expires. And they're just going to make a beeline to try and pick themselves up a pretty easy-peasy Cloud Drake.
Slow and steady for Misfits, not taking any chances.
I mean, you lose the opening game, you follow the game plan, but it gets shut down hard by G2. What do? You go back to the drawing board. All right, we need a little bit more flexibility.
A little bit more late game, don't have to risk it all on an early game draft. And they changed that part, and it's been working for Misfits, especially with the GP top at the moment here. But Schalke, once again, in that spot where, you just really want the enemy team to take a bad fight or mess up around a Baron so you steal it and get a few kills after. Otherwise, you don't really get back in the game, and then you're forced to just stall for another 15-20 minutes, so the goal is irrelevant. But obviously, that means it's all in Misfits' favor. They're the ones controlling the river.
Yeah. I think one of the things we really want to keep an eye on, of course, is the Tristana items. We were talking earlier how far behind it looked like VandeR was, but he's now on 3. And also the BF sword. He's going to get pretty strong and scary, but we got to see that switch flip. VandeR going all in and making the big plays. Of course, it's hard to check into the likes of Maxlore, check into the likes of Sencux, Mikyx with the box.
And also, you got to keep in mind, if you don't touch Hansama, he's sitting with Rage Blade on hit build.
Yep, and all of a sudden, you're going to get 5-man chain.
Yeah, full stack that bad boy, and you deal some serious DPS the other way. So Misfits are packing a lot of damage on their side. Gonna be on Vizicsacsi, actually, to see if you can get an early kill on one of them, because you can, with Stoneblade Flash, take down a carry very quickly.
What sweet, sweet revenge for Vizicsacsi, as he's been bullied in the side lanes all game. If he just knobs down on Alphari or Sencux or something.
See, when we have these moments here where Misfits actually doing everything correct and just waiting for another Baron to spawn before they go all in, or hope that they can maybe get a bit of damage on an inhib turret, but they know there's no real objective right now. Because if they just rush 5-man mid, there's a chance they lose that fight under a tower, so they don't want to risk that. So they're kind of waiting for Baron to spawn, but a little part of me thinks back to the early days of League of Legends when it was just massive clown fiesta all the time.
Back to Season 3 again, yeah?
Yeah, Season 3, Season 4, where everyone would just constantly run at each other and fight all the time. It was not the correct way to play, but it gave you some pretty insane games with a lot of kills. This is a more the standard modern way of playing League of Legends we see from Misfits.
Well, this is the more sophisticated League of Legends era where you don't actually have to take the fights.
You don't have to
apply
tower
pressure
at all times.
I think all those stopwatches are scattering your sense of time, Deficio. I would like to go back to those, though. I want to see more crazy fights.
From time to time. I think we actually had some really sick games today with a bunch of fights left and right.
Yeah, and you know, like there's
just in this very moment when you're just waiting for Baron to spawn, you kind of wish someone would be like, I'm crazy, I'm going to run forward and fight.
Well, that's how it is, right? Like, you forget how much action we've actually witnessed when there is downtime, because it feels like it's been going for a while, but Schalke, I think they might want to change that here for the chase on. Winter's Bite procs on Mikyx, but no follow-up available there.
At least we know when Baron spawns, there will be action.
Oh, yeah.
Around it. Schalke needs to try and get this Baron here to stall the game. If they lose the Baron, Misfits might be able to get that inhib down and then, they go for kills.
Flash, play, box, everything. They pull back Boris, but it's not enough damage, and the flanking TP. Schalke, do they want to take this fight? Sencux, he's going to be caught out. It's a fight on multiple fronts. It's just 2 chases all around. Cue the Yakety Sax up. Everyone's going to be running away.
All right, no one actually dying right now. Chachi TP'd in behind Schalke, and Sencux was behind Misfits. Other way around, guys. Chachi TP'd in behind Misfits, and Sencux was behind Schalke. Yeah. No one died, though.
But the end result is that Misfits have once more control of the Baron Pit, and we are 6 seconds away from spawn.
Wait, why was Pride top lane right there? I guess he wanted to push the wave. He needs to get down here. Okay. Be ready for a fight. He's not level 16 yet, sadly for him.
Gotta be careful not to take a full barrel chain. Chachi, though.
All right,
next rupture in the brush.
Let's remember, VandeR and Nukeduck, they get to stand still and fire away. They will deal a lot of damage even to Maxlore here. Only one big tank on Misfits' side. 4 other members who are fairly squishy that can die against Cassiopeia and Tristana, but it would then turn it around. Misfits are showing up with so much DPS that the front line of Schalke dies very, very quickly. And they need to stay alive long enough to actually win the fight.
Ensemble took a risky path there. And just not get punished for it. Yeah, okay. All right, Nukeduck with the cleanse, and they've started with Cannon Barrage. Looking for Chachi here, but he's tanking pretty easily. As Boris backing away as well. Sencux looking to try and cut them off at the pass. Barrel chain is up. It's not going to catch on anyone, but they do find Boris. Pull him back in. And there will be no escape today for the Schalke support. Now, Sencux looking for Nukeduck, looking for revenge from that laning phase. Not going to find it, but they do have 1 pick. Should be enough to start them off on the Baron.
Let's see if Schalke still wants to try and fight around the Baron here. Nice setup from Misfits. Good hook from Mikyx as well to secure the kill. Looks like Schalke sending Pride around for potential steal. Misfits knows, okay, there's a chance. This Kha'Zix stealths in, steals the Baron, so they don't want to risk it, and they actually just recall.
Yep. Stick to the game plan. We saw the same thing earlier on when Pride was sneaking around the side. Rather than giving the 50-50, they gave chase instead. Oh man, tense game though, but Misfits, they're just not giving any opportunity for Schalke to get back into this.
See the play again. Nukeduck gets used early cleanse, and then a great ulti from Alphari here. And at this point, VandeR and Nukeduck are not able to sit and just deal damage to the front line of Misfits. And Boris gets left behind. Mikyx gets him with the play and hook. Quick kill. And Misfits decides to use it to just reset. Instead of going straight for Baron and risk it, they go back, spend the gold they have, stock up on new wards, and then they're ready to go out now and make the real play around Baron. So it actually is a fairly smart choice from them.
Yep. Gold's kept creeping up, but as you mentioned earlier, we're getting closer and closer to that point where it doesn't matter when everybody's got those 6 items if Misfits let this go on. I asked you earlier in the game, Deficio, what about Schalke's damage if they get to that late game? We're getting closer and closer.
It's always nice, but I think Misfits can match it at any point in the game. It's more about if Schalke's tanks can actually stay alive to allow VandeR and Nukeduck to deal damage. If Alphari is playing the teamfights perfectly, he hits a barrel in the back line and someone is almost dead.
Well, I think both these teams are starting to want to fight. At least the carries are. A lot of bloodthirstiness in those item slots, and now the Baron's get started. Here's the base. Schalke, they've got to make moves, but Piratechnics around the side. Do they want to trust it to that 50-50 smite? The hook pulls in Boris, and he's getting chunked low, but he's got himself a big knockup, but not before Alphari takes him down. Cannon Barrage forcing Schalke back. Realm Wart to cut off the rest of Schalke. They decide to turn for Pride, but Chachi, he comes right back in. Let's see if they can pull anyone down, but no, the health bars, they're sticking firm here. Chachi near to fall. He gets the eat off onto Mikyx before he drops to Nukeduck. And it's a 1-for-1. Nobody wants any more.
All right,
they got a taste of war.
Tried to chase after getting that first kill, but didn't actually get onto VandeR, who just sat there and dealt a ton of damage. Vizicsacsi stayed alive with the very, very tanky Cho'Gath. He got Warmarks. He's back to full HP.
Yeah, pretty easy. And Nukeduck's already started on this Elder Dragon. Now they've only got one Ocean Drake, but looks like Alphari's going to look to cut off the snake. Can he do it? Chachi and VandeR are there. He's not going to be able to fight that one out. It's a battle on multiple fronts, though, as Maxlore and Pride find themselves in a bit of a duel. The Dragon is in the midst of it all. Things are getting real messy here as Schalke back away into their own jungle. And Misfits say, thank you very much. We will take this Dragon.
No, they're coming back. They're coming back. They know we went to late game now. We're waiting for the big team fights. We need more of them.
Oh boy.
Let's see if they can catch someone.
Last time I saw Dance of the Dragons like this, it was not going to end pretty. Maxlore getting chunked. Arctic Assault's back away. Pride Stalker is gonna get blown up by Alphari. And now Schalke gotta run away from that one.
Yeah, we talked about all the damage from Misfits' side. Pride had a bit of a rough game here. It's very hard for him to play team fights as this Kha'Zix, because he's so squishy. If he gets caught as a bunch of CC to lock him down and kill him, they're rushing this one without a jungler because they have Feast from Alphari, but all of Misfits are on the way. Schalke, they gotta run.
No, they can't do it at this point, and it's a lot harder to flash Feast over that wall, so Misfits might have the spoils of the Baron.
But Chachi's staying around. Flash is ready in a few seconds.
Last cone.
If he wants to try and flash Feast it. Okay. But it's risky. It's very risky.
But it's to take the one away. They know this is going to happen. Throws down the Rupture, waiting for the time. It's down. Hops over the wall. They're just going to take him down before it happens. In the box he goes. Back to Fountain, the express route. And they don't want just Baron. They want even more. Looking for Boris. No. They dive right behind him, looking for VandeR and Nukeduck chasing on his Maxlore. Misfits are looking to sweep this one up and clean house on Schalke. Down goes Nukeduck. And even though VandeR is going to rocket hop away, down a line he can do. Pride is going to get a shutdown on his opposite number, but I don't think he's got enough hops left on that bug to do much more. 3 members of Misfits standing strong.
And look at the minion waves as well. Bot lane and mid lane already set up by Misfits. So many minions being pushed in with the Baron buff here. And I love the fact they're not taking the 50-50 Baron. They wait and wait. They know that Schalke can't see anything in the pit, so when Vizicsacsi jumps over, they kill him first, get the Baron, and they're going to get the game.
Nice and clean, nice and steady. Misfits learning their mistakes from day number 1 against G2 Esports. Turn it around on a Schalke in a substitution situation. Taking out Pride for that ace. Down goes the final turret. At 42 minutes in, Misfits improved to 1-1 to close out week 1.
Slow and steady here from Misfits. After they got the early game advantage, they knew, okay, we're the stronger team fighting team. We need to start playing around Baron. In the end, Mikyx even gets his fist bump. Took about 30 seconds.
Yeah, it only matters when you get there in the end, and that was the motto, it seems, of Misfits. Honestly, these guys should be changing their logo to a tortoise, because they got there in the end and they won the race.
They played smart in many ways. Like, they didn't want to risk losing the game due to a Baron going over to Schalke. That is the correct one. They knew their late game comp was great. They could keep winning team fights. So they actually did exactly what they should. And never risking a 50-50 Baron. And in the end, they secured it, and then they also had the Elder Drake, and they could win the game. So smart game from Misfits.
When you consider how many Baron attempts there were, and also just throw the Elder Dragon like back and forth in there too, like, that's kind of hard to do. That was a very, very controlled pacing of the game for Misfits, and it's scary the level of macro and decision making that team brought out.
Well, I also like the Gangplank from Alphari.
Yeah.
We saw that pick.
I think he was mad from yesterday.
I mean, I wouldn't blame him, but we see Gangplank like all the time over in the LCK, and yesterday we didn't get to see it in Europe. It was banned once, and that was it. We've now seen it today, and I think it is such a good pick because it is really hard to shut him down early. Schalke didn't even try. And then when you get to 2 items, Therex and Trinity Force, not only do you have a lot of damage on yourself, you also add you with your utility ulti, and people always have to respect you in fights. And Alphari had a great game here, and so did Sencux.
Yeah.
I mean, also got to highlight Maxlore, to be honest, with Sejuani. That was pretty spot on.
But I really want to go back with Alphari because that, like, we saw it, all it took was one mistake. Pride gets chunked by the barrel, and that late game Gangplank just evaporated his health bar. It was disgusting.
Nukeduck tried to carry on the Cassiopeia, had a very good laning phase, but then when they lost the bot lane, it all went wrong for the team. Moosv is now done, telling the team what they did right and wrong in the game, like which he likes to do on stage.
Some feedback there, but I mean, it's a man with a plan always. He was talking about the one-year plan last time around. I bet he's got a whole new one.
That man. Same Moosv, the coach of Misfits, is one of the most hyped coaches in Western League of Legends.
He's one hell of a coach, too. I mean, we don't often talk about the coaching battle, right? Because it's always trying to get in the other's heads and making things happen. Andre, I mean, he's had some experience on the big stage, but he's still got quite a bit to go.
I mean, he's obviously still learning a bit here and there. I think the draft from Schalke, it made sense. I think the Braum was a key pick for them yesterday. Get it again.
Right.
They actually could make a lot of plays with the Tristana and Braum in the early game, which was a way for them to try and get an advantage. But in the end, when they fell behind, it was very tough to get back. Great, just patient play from Misfits. Always secure the big objectives and win the fights you needed. So overall, a solid performance for Misfits, and what we wanted to see from them after yesterday's performance.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it just feels like they went back, they did their homework, and all of a sudden they were like, no, we're going to nail this next test. And great to see, man. Final Nexus smashed here in Berlin, guys, so we are going to head into the post-game lobby where we'll be joined by Misfits Maxlore and G2's Jankos for a look at opening week. That's all taking place over on twitch.tv/EULCS, so be sure to join us. Now, coming up here on twitch.tv/Riot Games, it's the NALCS countdown, followed by opening day over in Los Angeles.
Yeah, first game, TSM versus Team Liquid.
Ooh, it's going to be pretty spicy. And you honestly, I hope Bjergsen was watching because he just heard you talking about, like, how he was carrying you. I bet he's feeling pretty confident.
I mean, I'm sure he tells everyone that I carried him, you know, we're just nice people.
Is that how it works? I always thought...
I mean, I hope he tells
Denmark,
them that.
you kind of said the opposite of that, but okay, well, fine.
I don't know, maybe. Who knows?
Either way, it's going to be a great match to watch. Now, our analysts have picked out 3 players as your choices for player of the game. Maxlore, Sencux, and Hansama. If you think one of them deserves the win, go over to @LOLesports on Twitter and give us your favorite. We're going to highlight your winner in the EULCS post-game lobby. Does it feel great that that all the fans can get involved in the player of the game now?
Yeah, people are very active. We've had some good votes so far. I don't think actually I've disagreed with any of the MVPs in the end.
So what you're saying is the hive mind has the same intelligence as you.
There we go. I'll take that.
I like it. I like
Take it.
Yeah, we bring up to 1 Deficio. What is 1 Deficio worth of brain power?
I don't even know, Pyre.
Yeah, well,
it's been a very long day for me. My brain is done. I hope the viewers are not completely done because they gotta watch NA.
Honestly, like, it has been such a long day of esports, but so many sick games. And you talked about starting off in the LCK. I'm not going to offer any spoilers, just in case people are tuning in now.
I mean, that's a standard, you know, day now as an EULCS caster. You wake up in the morning here in Europe, you watch LCK.
We're in a great time zone for that.
Exactly. Today we watched a lot more LCK than normally because there was a 90-minute game.
Stop giving the spoilers.
You definitely have to go back and rewatch that SKT versus GNR game 3 and then straight into EULCS. So now we can go back and watch NALCS.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice. We don't have to worry about, like, oh, we're going to, like, shift over streams all the time and you have to, like, get 3 or 4 monitors to try and catch everything. No. We can back to back to back to back. Esports never stops.
You're selling out here, Pyre.
Dude, I always sell out. It's pretty... it's what I do. All right. Now, for more on Misfits win, let's head over to Medic and hear from their mid laner and AD carry.
Thank you very much, Pyra. I am joined by Sencux and by Hansama. Congratulations, guys. Great performance by you today. Not the best of weeks for you, losing on day 1, winning today. You know, how does it feel to be joining the Misfits roster now, Sencux? How do you feel as part of this team?
I mean, in the beginning, it was very different. They had a whole different system, and me and Megan were coming in from a system we had in Splice, so we had to get used to that. But I feel like now we kind of fitting in that system, then we're obviously filling the holes that we need to do. And I mean, I enjoy living with the guys and playing with them. It's really fun. So
do you feel like you're incorporated in this team now? You're not still on the outside? Do you feel like you're part of Misfits?
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like we're taken good care of when we arrived at the house, and both me and Mikyx are enjoying our time.
Excellent. It's good to hear. Hansama, I want to ask you just a little bit about what you expect from Misfits this year. So last year you got to quarterfinals. You're an incredible group of talented players. Do you think you can make it to the same sort of stage this year?
I think in the beginning we will not have the best results as we would expect, but the more the time goes on, I think our team will be pretty much better, and I think we can still make it to the top. And if we try hard for all the people, all the staff too, and I think we can make it.
So do you think that you and Mikyx can be better than you and Ignar were last year?
I think we can. Mikyx brings new stuffs that I didn't know before, and it's pretty exciting to work with him.
And is it good to work with Sencux as well?
Yeah, they're pretty funny guys.
I like the way he says you're pretty funny. He doesn't say, oh, mechanically very good, good macro calling. It's just that you're a funny guy.
Yeah, he's toxic.
Do you think that you've brought a new light into the Misfits team as well? Do you think that you're giving them as much as they're giving you?
Yeah, I feel like I definitely have a different playstyle from what PoE had. He was a lot focused on these Orianna Syndra champs, where I was a lot focused on Taliyah, Sol, Galio. So I definitely bring a different perspective to the game, and so does especially Maxlore, who I need to work a lot with. Like, he also brings new stuff to me, and we can talk to each other about those and work them together. And I think in the end, I think we're going to be a really strong duo.
That's excellent. It's good to hear. A lot of people are, thinking up names for their duos. You've got Sjokz. Do you have a specific name you want for you and Maxlore?
No, really, our name sucks together. Like,
it does.
I've seen so many ideas on Twitter and Reddit, and it all sucks.
Well, hopefully we can think of a good one at some point. A question for both of you. I want to talk about expectations for other teams this year as well. We've seen G2 get beaten today. We've seen Fnatic get beaten today. Where do you rank these other teams in terms of title contenders?
I think Schalke, that we played today, has a really strong roster. I think it's sad that Upside couldn't play today or yesterday. I think they have a really strong roster on paper, and I've also, when we played against them in scrims before, they've also been showing pretty good performances, and I know their coaching staff is pretty good as well. So I think definitely Schalke is going to be a top contender. Fnatic still has the main roster. G2 is G2, so they still have perks and old teammate VandeR. So I still think like the top four is there, and even my old team Splice, they have a pretty different roster, I would say, but if they can actually get to match together, I think they're going to be good as well.
Hansama, any changes on that?
I think I pretty much agree with Sencux. Like, I'd say Schalke, Misfits, Fnatic, Splice, G2 maybe will fight for the top, and maybe there's some teams who are where they have new players can make us surprised too, and I'm pretty excited for them to play in the future.
It's good to hear. We have got a lot of new rookies in the EU LCS. Are there any guys that you guys are particularly looking at who you think can stand out this year?
I don't know. I don't honestly really look at rookies. I'm just here to win the ULCS, so I don't know.
It's good to hear. Do you think that's something you can do this year? Do you think Misfits can take it all?
Definitely.
And Summer, same?
Definitely.
Well, that's a good way to close it out. Thank you very much for talking to me, guys. Congratulations again on the win today. We're going to hand it over to the EU LCS post-game lobby. Sjokz, take it away.
Thank you very much, Medic, and welcome to the EULCS post-game lobby. I'm joined here by Martin Deficio, Lunga, as well as Jankos from G2 Esports and Maxlore from Misfits Gaming. Maxlore, of course, all of you welcome, but Maxlore, you just got off the Rift, and we heard two of your team members speak about the game. So how are you feeling about the game, and how are you feeling about the weekend overall for Misfits?
I think the game was really chill and a lot better than our game yesterday in terms of how we performed on stage and panicking or whatever, but I would say it's a shame we didn't get to play against the real Schalke, so I'm looking forward to our rematch.
Well, it seemed that Roccat yesterday was a bit caught off guard of the Schalke they played against. Do you feel like their potential is really high if they when they get upset back?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to also crown the player of the game. That is Hansama with 54% of the vote. And it's not you, Maxlore, I'm sorry. We tried to swap you out to come on a post-game lobby and have Hans instead, but no.
Sejuani players, they don't get.
To be honest, though, your ults were not on point this game.
Yeah, I know.
So I think
you flying like here and over there. I was just giggling in game when I missed it. I was laughing at myself. Yeah. But it was chill anyway, it was fun.
And it must be a confidence boost as well for Hansama because he's one of the remaining and returning members from Misfits. So good to see him get off to a good start.
I mean, very solid team fighting from Misfits. It actually never really felt like they could lose the game after they got that little triple kill in the bot lane. Before that, there were moments we thought Schalke could do some stuff, but I believe this bad boy right here, where Schalke overextend and then they get TP'd on, Misfits won the game.
Yeah, Jankos, you didn't see too much of it, I think, because you were just finishing up your own game. But the only thing you can say is that his Sejuani could have been more on point.
I mean, I think the map play was really good, but at the same time, I think some of the ults were not on point. But we have to remember that I think the meta right now is pretty boring, and to be honest, it seems like the better draft wins, you know?
Yeah.
Agree.
It's really weird.
Better late game wins,
right? The better late game, because I was going to say Misfits yesterday seemed like they had a strong draft on paper to start things off with, but it didn't scale too much.
Debatable.
Okay, come on. If you pick Lee Sin, no offense, but if you pick Lee Sin right now, you deserve to lose, no? Like, I mean to Sejuani.
No, the thing
is... Would you do it again, though?
No, but... Okay. So scrims were like... You know, you pick Lee and your heart smurfing, you know, and you're just like, yeah, this shit's gonna happen on stage. And then... And then the same doesn't happen, you know, the enemy jungler doesn't die when he normally does die, and enemy bot, like, everyone is just dying all the time when you pick Lee Sin, but unfortunately, no one was dying on your side, so it really didn't kind of go well for me.
All right.
I need to ask, though.
Yeah.
Was there other jungle choices?
Yeah.
Kayn?
I'm not gonna...
He's not, it doesn't
No, but I'm just not talking in general here, like, where's my Kayn?
Are you trying to milk information out of me? Are you trying to give...
Actually, sorry, let me ask a good jungler, Jankos. Can Kayn be played in this meta?
I believe no, but I think
Why?
Well, I think it's really difficult to get the Darkin Kayn on stage since no one is fighting, and yesterday you guys went for really... I know, weird plays, diving our turret bot lane, and we kind of caught you off guard always there, and you always died, and then, you know, we had obviously better scaling. I think with Kayn, it would be even more difficult to win the early game, but I think they could pick Zac, for example. Maybe it's not the best pick against Sejuani. I think Sejuani would alt scale anyway, but Sejuani is really broken right now, so
Didn't Memento pick Zac in the game versus...
Oh, yeah, he did!
Into Jarvan, which is even worse than picking into Sejuani, but something happened. Can you tell me how you lost that? I mean, normally if someone picks Zac into my Jarvan, I'm pretty happy, and, you know, I saw you had a level lead, but couldn't really translate that into a win. What was
I think we were really confident, you know, but then in scrims, everyone is really squishy. And when I ult, they die. But this time, Kog'Maw would always lived, and he always killed me.
Yes.
That was really weird, you know? So I realized at some point that I cannot really go for the backline, but the game ended.
Yeah.
So
when you realize it.
So I think there's some stuff we can take out from this game, and since every team has different idea how to play the game right now, after the first week, I think a lot of the teams will fix their drafts, and we know more now, and we will improve for sure.
All right. Well, we're also going to see that game, Roccat versus G2, a bit later. There's a couple of other games I want to talk about, though. And it's also Splyce versus the Unicorns of Love. As you say, a lot of teams, it's their first games, and it's kind of the complete opposite oftentimes for what we saw from yesterday. And in Unicorns of Love versus Splyce, it was crazy. 68 minutes, Deficio, and what we're going to look at again is the base race, because I believe Maxlore or Jankos hadn't seen it yet. So I think that's going to come up right now. At that point, it wasn't really sure who was going to win anything, and then all of a sudden it's a base race. That is, of course, what you can expect from the Unicorns of Love almost always.
On the big screen right now, boys.
I was sipping on my water when this was happening, and I thought it's a clown fiesta. But then it made sense that Azir went for the base race. At the same time, though, I think if Kobe and Odwamne could play it a bit better, I think they should stall more. Like, the game was really close and Splyce won, but I felt like Kobe and Odwamne died a little bit too fast.
I don't know if White Knight could have gone back earlier to base right there and maybe trying to defend a little bit more, because there was no minions, obviously, which is why it took them forever to kill the tower. Very, very tough to say in these games. Also, we've gone like 20 minutes where no one had died, I believe. There's been like no fighting at all, and then it just ends in this base race, so that was pretty insane.
Maxlore talked to me about Splyce. it's a team that, from our perspective, they have a lot of individual talent that seemed like they would be able to quite easily pick up some early wins while other teams were figuring them out. But what is your kind of idea of their strength right now?
I really don't know, because they played some weird stuff, but also at the same time, I like what they picked today. I like to call the 90-minute farm for late game composition. You know, LCK did it today,
Yes.
longest game in history or something like that.
Yep.
So they just copied the exact same thing and closed the game out at 60 minutes, not 90. So I think they're already better than some LCK teams.
I think that's an apt analysis. Our player of the
It's
game
great.
was Kobby, who obviously had his part in playing that very late game. Good to see Kobby doing well as well, and he finds himself in kind of a new system now, right? He's got some very different players around him than he did last year.
Yeah, of course. And I think with the Spice, like, I know we thought a lot about them coming in strong in the start. Like, the more I look at the Spice lineup, the more I kind of disagree with my own idea of how they were going to play.
Amazing said they were built for playoffs, by the way.
Sure, so
Oh, really?
I join Amazing a little bit more here, but I'm looking at this team and with Copy as well, like, they need to figure out exactly, okay, what kind of style is it they want to play? Who's going to be the main carry? Because right now, Niski's not doing very well in the mid lane, so they're relying a lot on Copy and Odoamne, but then Odoamne got shot down because they didn't even try and play around his lane.
I don't know if you saw that, your ex-teammate.
Oh, I mean, I was watching
He got
the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching the game. I think Odoamne needs to work on some of the decisions he's making in game. Also, he was playing Ilaoli, so he got really hard camp, right? But that is not the reason you die so many times. And yesterday against SOAS, he didn't perform so great either. Like, I think he got solo killed once or twice. So I think Odoamne needs to step up a little bit. I like him a lot, but if he's my friend, it's better to tell him like straight up, like, Odo, you need to step up because you played like shit today, than instead of it, like, talking like, hey, it's fine, you know, you got camped, like, it's all right.
I think that's a good thing in friendship. You just have to be honest to each other
Yes.
and say that straight up. So we also have to be honest about some other games. H2K had a bit of a game yesterday, but they had a fantastic game today because they beat Fnatic, and that was very unexpected. Caedrel and Sheriff, they were on the game today. Yesterday, not so much.
Yeah, this was a really crazy game because Fnatic's early game was really cool. Like that, the Spellbook Sivir that kind of just perma-push bot lane, then went top lane, perma-push top lane. They got 3 auto turrets down at 11 minutes as well in the game, so they were really, really far ahead. But just like yesterday, when Fnatic needs to play around Baron, they get really, really greedy. And they start chasing for kills, and suddenly a Vayne, Kassadin, Vladimir comp that couldn't defend at all found the one team fight they needed on 2 items, and they got right back in the game, and then they actually just kind of kept winning team fights from there on and out. And Fnatic, they can't be happy.
Nope.
I said this yesterday, I didn't think the first game was very clean they played. They have great early game, but they get so greedy around Baron where they just refuse to play the slow game like Misfits did today actually, and then they start chasing for kills. And when you do that against a comp that technically can't defend at all, but they can only fight with flanks like Kassadin and Vladimir, you just give them a chance to get back in the game, and it was kind of weird to see.
To be honest with you, Deficio, though, I feel like Fnatic is making mistakes that are really easy to fix. I think maybe they have some issues with shot calling. Maybe Hylissang is bringing some UL aggression inside of the team, and then they are making weird decisions that cost them a couple of kills sometimes. Maybe something else. I don't personally know. All I know is that I feel like Fnatic will be a good team. I think they can fix the mistakes that they're doing right now. I think that they are playing by the book, and the mistakes that they're doing are really easy. Just don't go for the kills. You know, keep playing objectives, keep playing slow.
Let me ask you
Can
this
they
then,
change?
for both of you guys. Do you think the mistakes you guys made yesterday are easy to fix, Max? And the same for Jankos after that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, firstly, like, before the even game starts, the whole draft, we fixed that for today. We managed to fix that.
Agree.
Understanding the meta, we fixed. Communication on stage today was a lot better than yesterday. So yeah, a lot of things were mistakes that we made yesterday were fixed, and I'm sure if you play G2 again, it will be a bit closer.
And Jankos, the inverse. How come there were so many more mistakes today?
I mean, I believe that losing the game is way better than winning, especially in especially in regular season. I mean, you just have to look at it. I was playing Boosted today, for example, so we have some issues that we will see way more clearly right now, and I think we'll fix them for sure for next week. I'm actually really excited to play scrims again and to kind of practice and to maybe even make some draft changes or maybe make some
Do you make the draft
Jarvan, for
changes in
example.
G2? Oh,
No,
okay.
I mean, I don't personally, but
Okay.
we all can talk about it because we are a team. We are not one-man army, we are a team.
Max, you wanted to jump in?
Oh, I was about to say, like, after like this whole essay that you just said, I think maybe if yesterday was a best of 3, you know, we would have won.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, though. But
just
if you draft Lee Sin again, it was free win, though.
Yeah, of course.
Hey,
Then
we can go for
I'll
gentleman agreement.
Yeah.
And maybe sometime we can play carry matchups.
Yes, yeah. I'll be
That would
Shake,
be the,
shake
I would
hands
be
on
happy.
that. I think we all want to see
Next
that.
time they
You want,
play?
next time we play, do you want to do carry
handshake.
matchup? I mean,
Yeah.
Fun thing is, it's actually the coaches who decide the
Actually,
draft,
yeah.
so it doesn't mean anything what they do here, but...
actually, okay, I'll persuade my coach. I'll try. and
Okay,
you try.
yeah, let's talk to our coaches first, okay? Okay.
All right.
There we go.
Fantastic. And now we are going to watch that game again, or not the whole game. We're going to watch some highlights from Roccat versus G2 because we talked about it yesterday. Roccat, you never know when they're going to strike. And it was today, Jankos.
Well, we
So,
know when they play G2, they're going to strike.
well, instead of just...
Oh, this is the only
Bragging on
thing I
Jankos,
did in
let's-
the whole game. I actually hit my EQ on Kog'Maw this time.
Yeah, this was a good play.
But Kog'Maw is trolling a bit.
Well,
I
he had no
mean,
flash, so he went in for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. And I have...
Deficio, without trolling too much, let's talk
No
about then
flash.
the strengths of Roccat. Why was it that Roccat looked so good today?
Well, what I liked about Rocket, so first of all, I liked Rocket's late game draft a
Don't look
lot
at
in
this.
this game
I'm
here.
I'm so
so
sorry.
whenever
I'm
stuff
so
like this
sorry.
happens...
I'm so sorry. I was so bad. Deficio, don't look at it, please.
Oh,
I'm
I
really
casted
sorry.
this one, man.
Zach is really good.
that was
I kept
painful for
saying,
me
like,
as
okay,
well.
Jankos, his life will suck because he jumps in, then he gets killed really fast, and then he can't really do anything because they can't kill the backline fast enough, which is why we like Rocket's draft. But the early game was the big one for me, because what we've seen in Europe a lot, you know, here in week 1 is Ryze gets TP after the first back, he pushes the mid lane, then he goes to either top or bot lane, and he executes a tower dive, and he gets a kill or 2, and the game kind of snowballs in favor of Ryze. In this game here, Blank went back to base early, returned before the TP even happened, pushed the lane over and over, and when Perkz roamed bot lane, it was called. HQ was baiting with his stopwatch. I believe Jankos went a little bit too ham on that one as well. And then suddenly, when Perkz returned to mid lane, Memento was there. They killed Perkz, then they killed Jankos, then they killed, I think it was top lane. And they were 3-0 on Azir, and with a better late game comp. So they just kind of snowballed the game from there.
Yeah, Blanc did a very good job, I would say. We were
Great
kind of
job.
looking at him to maybe step up for Roccat and getting off to a fantastic start. And it's a bit crazy. All games, all things that we thought yesterday that we learned were turned on their heads today. Let's
Good
take
old
a
best
look.
of one right there.
Best of ones and only 2 games. Let's take a look at the standings for where we ended up, because the one thing we can say is that Vitality is the undisputed statistical best team in Europe.
God Gilius coming
God
for the
Gilead.
throne right
So,
there.
Max, what do you think of your number 1, your lord, your king of EU at this point, Vitality and Gilius?
I think all the other teams, in terms of score, are not even close to Vitality. Like, Vitality are probably going to win Worlds this year.
Let's get a serious answer.
Okay, how I actually feel about them?
Yeah,
No clue, mate.
great answer.
I mean, Maxlore also said that Misfits would win Worlds, and I mean, they were getting really, really close, so I would say that is an
I mean, they had to
prediction.
also beat a team that 3-0'd SKT technically to win Worlds, but they were close to semi-final. I'll give them that one.
Yeah, Unicorns of Love, bottom of the table, only team that is 0-2. We haven't really talked about them too much. Sheepy has a new project. Sheepy needs to build that team up again. It's not really working out yet. What do you think? What do you think needs improving, Jankos, about Unicorns of Love?
I think first of all is the first week, right? So just stuff happens and we can't really take a lot from it. But I believe that UL has some issues. I think they are really impatient in the game. I think they make a lot of mistakes. And then on top of it, it seems like their early game is not on point just yet, you know. When we look at Vitality, they also, I think, had pretty easy week. So we can say that they won because, you know, they played worse opponents. But I actually think Vitality is not a bad team right now. They look strong. I think they can improve as well. And on the other hand, we have Schalke that played with VandeR AD carry.
Yes.
I like VandeR, but I mean, I think with Upset they will be way better. So I'm really excited for second week.
Well, you obviously played with him a lot, and I see you guys bantering on Twitter often. So what was your reaction when you saw VandeR yesterday playing Varus and basically crushing it? Did you know this about VandeR, that he was so good at AD carry?
I mean, I spoke to him before the game because I was giggling really hard when I heard that he will play AD carry. But then he won and he triple killed. And then I saw the replay on Reddit where the referee was like, this guy is actually pretty good, you know? So
he also
it's
used to
nice.
be an AD carry.
Yeah, he used to be an AD carry and he's really cocky. He always says that, oh, my AD carry is so much better than LCS AD carries. I can play so
And my support.
Because I actually remember back in Season 2, I made a post on the League of Legends forum looking for a duo partner back then. And VandeR was the only one who replied. This was like 1800 ELO days, early Season 2. And he played AD carry back then, and he was pretty damn good. I was really boosted mid laner, but he was a good AD carry, so he's actually played it for a few years at least. It's just been a while. And I mean, yesterday's performance was pretty good. His laning phase is pretty bad, and that's why he loses a lot of the CS.
Apparently, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter if you play against... Who did they play against yesterday? Rocket.
The team that
Good
beat
that you
G2.
caught it, because my brain was there.
Rocket.
Yeah.
So Schalke with VandeR better than G2 with main roster.
You know what? Okay, so we beat you guys,
Yeah.
and you guys beat who?
Schalke.
Oh, Schalke, and then Schalke beats Rocket, and then Rocket beats us. So that means Europe is still Europe.
Yep.
That's
So we should be
absolutely
proud
cool.
of it.
Yeah, fantastic. Just to
Well
close
said.
this off about Schalke, we had some really high expectations about Schalke. Hopefully, Upset will be back as soon as possible to also practice with the team. Where do you think they say they're built for playoffs, right? It's not about winning right now, but where do you see the ceiling is of Schalke with Upset, Maxlore?
A lot better than how they played today, yeah.
Is it a team you fear going into playoffs?
I fear no one.
You fear no
I
one.
think he should. I think Schalke are going to be really good in playoffs.
Yeah?
I love the coaching staff on the team. I think Nukeduck...
Biased?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I think Nukeduck, Vizicsacsi, and Upset are going to be 3 super good carries for the team. My only concern right now is Pride, who I think is making a lot of... I call him rookie mistakes, even though he's been here for a split, but he does actually hurt his team in certain fights because he jumps in way too aggressive, and then suddenly the support has to save him, or Nukeduck needs to step forward. And that's something he needs to fix. But I think if he actually becomes a jungler who learns more about the competitive aspect and like what he needs to do in game, I think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's going to be one of the best, and that might be an issue for Schalke.
Yeah, he's still maturing. He can't be as good as Godgilius. You know, Vitality today, a second win of the week over Giants, but I don't want to talk about or meme about Gilius anymore. I do want to highlight those two guys, Mini Trupax and Jizuke on Vitality, 2 guys we were looking at. First Italian player in the ULCS, first Portuguese player in the EULCS, and they crushed it, and that's cool to see. Their enthusiasm seems to be carrying over to the EULCS so far, Deficio.
Yeah, Jizuke yesterday was really, really good in the early game. Actually snowballed everything for
The
his team.
Portuguese pony. Did you see that?
Wait, did we call it
It was supposed to be subtle, but it's just on the big screen right
and now you called it out.
Yeah,
right
sorry.
there. But I think Mini Trupax today, he did his job, because when you play Caitlyn, and if you don't win the laning phase, that's already bad, but then you had a Tahm Kench next to you, so that was kind of rough. Gets to the mid game, can't really do anything, and then he got to 6 items, and it's kind of expected then that you do really well in fights, and he did. So he did his job and was a main reason for them winning.
How do you guys think that the fact that these 4 guys that played in the LVP and played in Challenger, they won so much when they were there, and now they're still winning in the EULCS, but we had a bit of a discussion about how will they react when things get a bit tougher? How do you think Vitality is going to evolve and age throughout the split, Max?
Honestly, I think they should have lost today, because I think Giants had like a 4K lead.
Yeah.
They could have gone Baron whenever they wanted. They ended up getting it, but then they just like, I don't know, Ruin wasn't looking at his screen or something, and slowly but surely they actually got to that stage where they outscaled, right? So I'm not sure where I'd rank them, and what Jankos said was right, where it's only the first week, so you can't just instantly say, oh, these teams are good, these teams are bad, and all that. So within time, we'll see how well they do. I don't think they're going to be the best in Europe, but they can possibly make playoffs.
I also don't want to shortchange Giants. They also had a great first week. As you say, they had a good game today. They had a crushing game yesterday. But there's one thing we can say. We had a long discussion about it, who we think is the MVP of the first week. And we've decided that it can't be, it's Ryze. It's Ryze, Deficio. I know how much you love him. I know how much you love the stopwatch Ryze combo.
It's such a dumb combo.
So 8 picks, 1 ban, and 4 win and loss. So he's definitely not overpowered, but it is kind of, it's been overpowering in the games, and we saw some really nice combos as well. We're going to take a look at a couple of them. So where do you guys lie on Ryze? Is it coming into a must ban, or is it beatable either way?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to be honest, because
Yeah,
I mean, I just can't be.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think Ryze is very strong, and I think every team can see that. And right now, we have Ryze being played in the mid lane against Azir mostly. Then we saw Nukeduck pulling off Cassiopeia, so I think maybe meta will shift and maybe we'll look for some more Ryze counters. But at this very moment, it seems like he's really strong mid laner.
I know you can't say too much because Perks is obviously also very, very good on Ryze, so...
Yeah, Perks is decent, yeah. He, you know, destroyed Misfits. I think he went like Flame Horizon, like on Sencux. He just
Do you guys like the fact that Ryze has a combo where he can ult and press Hourglass and he can just escape anything?
I love it. As a jungler, I personally love it. I love the fact that I can ult with Sejuani, or I can, you know, lock him down with Cataclysm and he has no flash, and then he can just ult and Zonya, and it just makes me so happy when I see, like, it's so skilled. You require so
Exactly.
many like buttons. It's insane.
You gotta click Alt and Hourglass.
Yeah.
Well,
Can you
it's
imagine
two
some
buttons.
I mean,
people
that's why there's pro players and we mere mortals can't do that.
It's amazing how these people can just use the mechanics to escape every single time.
It's crazy. And maybe that's what also made the fact that the games have been quite long today, especially, and also over the weekend. The average game time has been 42 minutes and 3. Well, in summer 2017, it was 34 minutes, give and take. So is that just a symptom of it being the first week, Maxlore, and everyone kind of figuring things out, the mid-game being the most difficult thing, and closing out games?
Could you repeat the whole question?
Yes, that was a lot. Why are the games so long right now?
Oh, a lot of people are doing like extremely late game compositions and kind of not getting stomped in 20 minutes by teams that pick early compositions.
Yesterday.
Sure. Well, if you get to the late game, these comps are really good, right? And most of the games are like 40 or 50 minutes because people are struggling to close out games. Maybe they, like it's the first week, so maybe they're nervous after taking a break from league or whatever. But I don't expect the meta to be full late game as some teams are doing right now and getting away with it. I suspect that maybe it's bad to go full early game and just like FF the game if you mess up one dive. I know from experience. But there should be more early game next week.
All right.
Could I ask, without revealing too many things, but in scrims, are we seeing more early game drafts and more focus on early game, or are people also going very late game there? Or is it mainly just on stage?
I think the scrims, we have way more fights. I think some teams are trying to pick early game compositions that work obviously way better in scrims than they do on stage. But I think the meta is kind of similar. And for example, from my experience in scrims, as how we play in G2, and so far we didn't scrim Misfits and Fnatic, because you know they didn't want to play us because we play each other, so that's kind of normal. I think that the games are similar. It's more kills, but not so much, and the games are quite long as well. Some people even consider running the Gathering Storm Mastery that gives you AD and AP, which I think is a little bit trolly because you can't expect it to work every time, but maybe, I know, on Sivir or something.
Yeah. Let me dive into a topic maybe briefly that's been talked about a lot in the past, EU scrim culture versus what happens on stage. Would you guys say there's been a considerable change? Is there a different approach nowadays or that you've noticed, or what's your opinion?
Same as before.
Same as before?
Yeah.
Which is not that good, or?
Yeah, it's bad practice.
I mean, I think I've been through it already. Max are kind of the same. We had experience, and I still remember, I think it was season 6 maybe, when Rek'Sai was the most OP peak in the jungle in scrims, because every game you would go 3 levels ahead and, you know, 20-0 in 20 minutes. And then in playoffs, Gragas was 10 times better because
I remember
it was
that,
yeah, I remember. I learned the hard way back then. Same with Kindred Graves and stuff like this. So right now we take scrims, you know, kind of better, and we try to make the game slower. We don't take every fight that we could, just because maybe enemies wouldn't be so stupid on stage. And you know, Roccat did beat us with late game scaling composition, but I don't think that's the reason that they actually won. So there is a lot to learn.
Some changes at least for G2 there.
Yeah, some changes, and it seems like hopefully a positive evolution for the scrims. Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but that's okay, because we're going to move on to our big plays. We had a first week packed with action, and you guys went on Twitter to give us your highlights. Here are your LCS big plays of the week, brought to you by Acer Predator. First up, it is Giants top laner Ruin, who after the game against Unicorns of Love, he tweeted, before the match, Jack Troll's grandpa said, "Ruin, take my energy." I was moved by his words. With that energy, Ruin, he pulled off a great outplay to secure first blood.
Forward, Ruin is going to be locked up in the Hextech ultimatum. Trashy on the way. Allure has been proc, just looking for the hate spike. Flash forward, that's the charm. Bringing him back out of that tower range. Goes golden. Freeze frame, baby, but you're still going down. No! Yes! Hook shot, unstoppable! Outplay! Oh, God, that's disgusting!
Ruin! He was one of the players we were excited to see. New player joining the LCS stage. He's been in Challenger for a very long time. First appearance in the LCS, but there's more fighting down bot.
Mid will be able to move on next. I will kill him, I will kill him. Nice. Holy shit, Rin.
Holy fuck, Rin is inside. I will tip it top, okay?
Hook?
No, go back. I can't go.
Okay.
It's never fun to dive a tank with CC, a small shield, and stopwatch. And I think Unicorns learned right there, and This is actually one of the reasons some of the games do not snowball very quickly, at least, because of stopwatch, as an example. Makes it very difficult to go for these early plays.
Yep, but for Ruin, fantastic start to his EU LCS season, I would say. He had a fantastic play, and so did Jizuke. He entered the EU LCS with a bang and pulled off a quadra kill in Vitality's game against H2K. At Clockwork tweeted, "Welcome to the LCS Italy. Jizuke with the greatest rookie game ever."
For the flash onto Tom Kench, no one there to save him, unfortunately. Cannot eat himself. Now they're moving for a little bit more. Gilius on the backside, suddenly Jizuke in the back of the fight. Sheriff running for his life. H2K half managed to take the 1-for-1. Jizuke could be in trouble. How many can he kill before he goes down? He manages to take one. Spinning Jay gonna look for the CC. That's the double. He's making it out. Cabo now with the follow-up. Vitality are clearing through H2K. The triple for Jizuke. Will he get the quadra kill? Looks like Mini Trupax wants to bring it home. Nope. Ryze gonna take it in the end. That is the ace for Vitality.
They're going, we're going. Kalista! I tanked everything. Can you win? They have nothing. They're going on Jizuke. I'm coming, help me! I got Kalista. Nice! Let's go! F them up! And mid after. Hey, quadra, my first and top. I boost. And top. Top. Nice. You can end.
I gotta say, very clean shot calling right there.
Love it. Yeah, fantastic. And just as a note, we got the note that it's not Jizuke, it's Jizuke. Jizuke, not Jizuke. But in the heat of the moment.
The Italian stallion, that's what we call him.
Let's scream that. Maxlore, you were saying we're playing them next week. How do you think that's gonna go?
Ban Ryze.
Ban Ryze and win the game. Well, we'll see what happens.
Maxlore again, good Gilius. Got Gilius. I would like to see the Lee Sin matchups, but I'm not sure if you guys are ballsy enough to pull it off again.
What do you mean, Lee Sin against tank or what?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if one of you will be,
We'll see.
We'll see.
Do you have some fighting words for Gilius, or you just wanna?
Not really.
No, just gonna go into the match. Another big play when Schalke 04 needed him. VandeR stepped up as an AD carry, and Ericao8 asked the question on everyone's minds: are you sure it's not forgiven on stage?
Well, Rocket right now starting it. Let's see what happens here. Chachi.
He's going to bounce the ram forward. VandeR is hammering away. The Devour binds a few seconds longer as Boris has blocked so much damage. VandeR is untouched. He shoots up the arrow.
VandeR the AD carry. God.
VandeR with a triple.
I think you can... Yeah, okay. Flash. Nice. Well played.
Nice.
Look, keep attacking. S-roll.
I can flash in.
Let's go, maybe don't go too much. Oh, you're winning.
Oh boys! Let's go! Let's go!
Energy, guys, energy. Okay, reset and insta-dash when they spawn. Reset and insta-dash.
Guys, I didn't hear Boris' voice.
Yeah, Boris is pretty quiet.
I like how calm it was until they realized he got a triple kill, and then they went crazy.
The one like Nukeduck didn't actually believe in VandeR.
Don't go too far, don't go too far.
You got the kill, it's fine, go back now.
Two things. I'm incredibly disappointed we didn't see the referee.
Oh, the not bad in the background?
That was great. And secondly, also Nukeduck, he didn't really... But he was, you were guys saying, really micromanaging the situation up until then, or was it more...
I mean, I'm not sure if he was micromanaging or if he maybe didn't believe in VandeR, because obviously he was trying to help out, but I think VandeR played pretty good. He was outing whole time. He went like forgiven mode kind of, so it was exciting to see one of my friends pulling it off on AD carry, and he was always so excited when he was talking about AD, and he was always so cocky, so I'm really happy for him that he could play AD carry on stage and prove himself and win against the team that we lost against, for example, so good job, VandeR.
Yeah, it was a wonderful moment. Deficio, a lot of games, and I know it's difficult, but do you have a couple of things that stood out for you and that you're looking forward also into how they develop next week?
I want to see some answers to the full late game comps. I'm hoping more teams will take a gamble on stage and try and execute early game a little bit more. I really like Fnatic's early game as an example. I think it was super, super good. If they can just close out the game, it would have been fantastic for them. Good answer to full late game scaling. I like Jizuke's first game with the quadruple kill on Ryze. I actually loved watching Rocket today against G2 as well, because they lost so hard to a team with a sub yesterday, and we keep calling Rocket the Kingslayers no matter who's on that lineup, and whenever they play G2, for some reason, they just beat them.
Yeah. Can you really call them the Kingslayers if they're up versus Jankos, though? That's always a question.
That was harsh.
I'd never get to do it anymore.
I'll take it.
I thought you could probably take it, Jankos. My apologies.
I don't know what happened, but you know what? I think we had the game under control, still when losing, kind of. I mean, we
debatable, very debatable.
What I mean by that is that we know why we're losing, and we still made the mistakes. So I think it will be all right. And Rocket, they were the better team today.
Fantastic footnote. Let's see what we've got on the plate next week, because we'll be back with more fights in the EU LCS next Friday. That's at 6 p.m. Kicking off with a clash between G2 Esports and Giants. So that is going to be a good one again, because Giants did look quite strong, Jankos. What are you thinking to that matchup?
Oh, to be honest with you, I think we can play well against Giants. I think they have the old Rocket lineup, kind of. So we will see, for example, Betsy against Hyana and Wadid. So I'm pretty sure maybe there will be some banter between those players. But I'm confident in the matchup, and I think
I mean, you have to win that
just
game.
improve. Like, we will just improve. You know?
G2 needs to beat Giants.
Okay.
It's really
I really
simple.
don't care that we play Giants nor Fnatic. What I care about is that Monday we'll play Screams, and I'm really excited to improve what we were bad at. And then, you know, whoever we play, yeah, we'll just play them and we'll just try.
Lovely.
Good.
Maxlore versus H2K is your first match up on Friday next week. They had an up and down weekend, but today they finished strong. What are you thinking about that one?
I think it's going to be fun. Playing against my old teammate Smitty J.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think if they draft like they did today, we'll for sure win. However, if they draft properly, it can be anyone's game if we don't fix our problems. But I think with Bob Ross over here, I can take his positivity and shine towards my team, and we can grow a lot this week too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Europe is getting stronger, right?
It's a very wholesome discussion here.
Deficio, what do you think to Vitality Fnatic? That's what I have my eye on for that Friday.
Ooh. I think Fnatic are going to look at the problems they had. I think they're going to fix it. I think they're going to beat Vitality as well in the early game. And then they're going to close out the game this time around.
All right, that's all next week. And also on Saturday, we'll also have the Clash of Kings, Fnatic versus G2, which is going to be very hyped. But Jankos, do you have any simple fighting words for Fnatic?
Not necessarily. I'm pretty sad that both teams lost games before playing each other, because that would be really exciting to, you know, be 3-0, 3-0 and then facing each other. But as of now, both teams are making mistakes, and we are not the same. They are not the same teams as they were. You know, there is no Sven Miffy, there is no Jesse's. So which team can improve more until week 2?
Completely new brawl. We'll see. Remember also that the first games in the NA LCS are underway, starting with TSM versus Team Liquid. And if you didn't catch all of the EU LCS games from today, we will have a rebroadcast right after the NA LCS is over. Team Liquid, TSM, lightning round. Who's going to win?
TSM!
TSM.
EU.
EU is the winner.
Basically TSM.
TSM, yeah.
TSM. All right. So on that note, we're going to sign off for the night and let you guys watch the NA LCS. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys very much for joining me here after a long weekend. It was already. And tune in next week as the EU LCS continues with 10 new games. Have a great night.
Want this fight, they tried to steal the red. Now they're trying to steal some kills, and there's first blood. Ruin gets it, he wants a bit more. He's going to take a bite of the champ, but Duque doesn't really have anywhere to go. He's going to get nommed out. And Giants once again collapse for a kill. But Vitality will not let him escape. They end it with an ace and they take the win. 1000 Cold looking for it. Has the flash, is going to jump in. He seals it!
Nice one, nice one, nice one.
Watching Niski off towards the side as well, going to do a lot of damage here. Here's the call of the Forge God. The knockup hits onto him, but the smack comes down and Zaxi is a god. Unicorns are going to do it again. The womboist of combos. They take down 3 on the Nexus to get the Vedius. The Unicorns, they don't before you have it. And Splice take down the Nexus.
If you do step forward and get CC'd, you might just die instantly. There's a 4-item Sivir. Oh! That can also happen, by the way. Yeah, that's why Zoe is so annoying.
Oh my god, man, he had vision there.
On the Nexus tower, Fnatic going to try and turn it back around. It's up to Caps. Can't get onto Cajal. The Nexus is going to fall, and H2K take the win over Fnatic.
Zach pulls in too. Indeed, he's going live. He can't save anyone's line. The Redemption's not going to do a thing. Blink shuffles him right back in. VandeR is way too late to this party. Person trying to save the game, but with the Nexus Bear, it is clear that Kingslayers once could slay Kings again.
They keep doing it, man.
It feels awesome.
He has picked off VandeR. Sencux flashing forward to try and pick off Nukeduck, and they're going to take down Boris. Misfits cleaning house under turret. Down goes Nukeduck for a double kill. Corrupting enough, a couple of roots come down, and it's Boris that follows first in this fight. 5 on 4. Now can Misfits clean up the house? Nukeduck caught, isolated from his team, and Mikyx slays him. 42 minutes in, Misfits improved to 1-1 to close out week 1.